Shalom, I'm Angel.
I'm Todd.
Welcome to Listen and Obey. Shema, Yisrael, Adonai, Eloheinu, Adonai, Echad.
Time to open your eyes, your ears, and your hearts and your minds to the truth.
Shalom, friends. Today we want to talk about a topic that stirs a lot of emotions, and that's tithing. Most of us were taught that if you're a believer, you're required to give 10% of your income to the church, and that pastors and preachers should be supported by those tithes. But the question is this really what the scriptures teach, or is this another tradition we've inherited that doesn't line up with the words of Yeshua?
Ask your preacher how much is in his bank account.
What tithing meant in Torah. In the Torah, the tithe wasn't money. It was agricultural. Israel brought a tenth of their increase in grain, wine, oil, and livestock to Jerusalem for the feasts or to support the Levites who had no inheritance in the land. That's Numbers 18, verse 21, and Deuteronomy 14, verses 22 through 29.
Now, how come they wouldn't have inheritance in the land? They're one of the tribes too. Is it because maybe the Levites are Egyptian? Oh, never mind.
The tithe was tied to the land of Israel. It was food-based. It was never wages from carpentry, fishing, or trade. And it was a system to ensure justice, provision, and worship within the covenant community. So when we hear modern preachers say, you must give 10% of your paycheck, we have to ask, is that the same thing the Torah commanded? Clearly, it's not.
I'm thinking Paula White. Just pass it on down. Pass it on down. Check her bank account.
Yeshua's teaching on freely giving. When Yeshua sent out his disciples, he said in Matthew 10, verse 8, freely you have received, now freely give. That's the opposite of charging for ministry. He never said take up offerings, pass a plate, or demand tithes for your teaching. Instead, he expected them to trust Jehovah for provision and to serve freely out what they had received.
And if you think about it, if it's freely given and freely received, you can't corrupt that.
Exactly.
Imagine that. Imagine that. Give me a cookie.
The modern model, where ministry is a paid career, where the word is packaged as a product, is not what Yeshua taught. His command was to give freely because the word of Jehovah is not for sale.
It's not?
No, it's
I
not.
think Joel's disagree with you on that one.
The examples of the apostles. Think about Kepha, Peter, in Acts chapter 3, verse 6. When a lame man begged him for money, Peter said, silver and gold I do not have, but what I do have I give to you. In the name of Yeshua, the Messiah of Nazareth, rise up and walk. This is powerful. Peter didn't build his ministry on wealth or demand a salary. He didn't say, pay me first and then I'll bless you. He gave what he had, the power of Jehovah through the Spirit. This shows us the heart of true ministry. It's not about financial gain. It's about giving freely what Jehovah has entrusted to us.
If you think about it, like with your preachers, well, the last one that we had even admitted to us that he was paid to keep it simple. He was paid to keep them dumb. And trust me, these people weren't getting fed. I mean, that's corrupt. That means that you can pay a preacher to say what you want him to say, as long as you're dangling that dollar bill in front of him. Is that how it's supposed to be done?
The Bible also talks about not accepting bribes. And
that's a bribe.
That's a bribe.
Yes, it is.
So here's a really big, important question. Would they still teach if they had to do it for free? And this is the question we all need to wrestle with. How many pastors, preachers, or teachers would still do what they do if there was no paycheck attached? If all salaries were gone, if no tithes were collected, how many would continue to shepherd, to preach, to disciple, simply because Jehovah called them? The reality is we've turned ministry into a career path, and in doing so, we've contradicted the words of Yeshua and Jehovah. The apostles set the example. They worked with their hands. Ministry was never meant to be a business.
There's another point. The other church that we used to go to, the preacher had been there, probably 15 years maybe. And he kind of built the congregation more in his standing, and then took another job in another state because it offered more money. Is that what you're supposed to do? That means you're for sale. That's not what a preacher is supposed to do. Actually, it's not what any person who's given the word. But then again, he never gave the word anyway.
That's true. He gave one verse and then built a story around it. And that was his 15-minute sermon.
And it was usually Paul. Ugh. Anyway.
So we're contrasting generosity versus tithing. Now, don't misunderstand me. Scripture does call us to be generous. We're called to care for the poor, to support widows and orphans, and to share with those in need. That's the heart of giving. But that's not the same as a compulsory 10% tax to pay for church buildings and salaries. The New Testament model was voluntarily giving, led by the Spirit, for the sake of community needs, not an institutionalized tithing system.
Now think about it back then, man. The priest had it made. You got fed. You got all the cooked meat you wanted. I mean, if you don't believe me, read Leviticus chapters 1 through 17. It's a recipe book. Just saying.
So let's go back to Yeshua's words. Freely you have received, now freely give. That's the model. Ministry is about service, not profits. It's about giving what Jehovah has given us, not demanding payment in return. We have to ask ourselves honestly, are we following Yeshua's model or man's tradition? Are we clinging to inherited lies, or are we willing to return to the truth? Friends, the call is clear. Let's walk away from a system that commercializes the word of Jehovah and return to the simple, powerful truth. The gospel, the good news, is free.
Now pay us. Psych.
Until next time, remember to listen and obey.